Boom, we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another NASP weekly webinar. Got a good little group that's going to be showing up today, I am sure. Welcome, Christine. Thanks for being here.
I know. This is going to be so fun. I'm looking forward to this topic.
Me too. And excited to have you here. You're a coveted guest all over the place. So when we get a little Christine time, we're like, woo.
I don't know about that. I think you're just blowing smoke, but I'm here for it. It's Thursday. We're ready for some fun. Yeah.
You're blowing smoke, and I'm here for it. Oh, I love it. No, you are by far one of, like, when I look on, I'm like, it's interesting because I want to work for you. Like, I want to respond to your posts. Like, you pull that out of people, and I think that's just a really cool quality to have, that people want to support you, they want to add value, they want to be involved with you, and that's why we're excited to have you here. So that's like, I'm still trying to find more ways that we can work together.
Well, good. I like that, and let's keep doing it, because
Awesome.
I hope these conversations are helpful. This is, the spirit of what I think you're trying to do, what we're trying to do, is be helpful for people and give them insights that maybe they're not getting quite. Maybe it's not as talked about on LinkedIn or different things like that, but how can we be helpful and give, real insights as to what we're seeing? And I'm happy to be very honest. You know me.
Absolutely, I love that, and that's exactly it. Is provide insight. And I want to really start expanding these more to give people more access, more of the question answering in the personal touch. But welcome everybody who's joining us. We're gonna get started here in 3 minutes. Thank you for being here, Julie, C. Harris, Katrina, Melissa, Reshmi. Let us know where you're from, and what attracted you here. Is anybody who's interested in getting into some software for sales roles, software as a service for SaaS roles? Is it SaaS sales?
Yes.
Sales? Yes. Rock and roll. We're going to get started in just a couple more minutes here, so let us know where you're from. Christine, where are you at right now?
So I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona. So beautiful day today, lovely out. I'm sure it's probably lovely most places. We're just now getting into like where it's not, scorching out. So we're starting to enjoy it. Yeah.
It's funny. Yeah. It kind of waves over the country. I was just up in Michigan in Chicago, and we were seeing some 40s and even high 30s over there. So, I think they're definitely, there's levels to this, and so not burning up is a good level to be at. No snow is an even better level to be at, because there's some people who got snow here in the country. So
already,
oh yeah.
All right,
saw some of the mountains in Colorado, but it's crazy. All right, y'all, let us know where you're from. We got a few people more showing up. Welcome. We've got Christine Rogers here, y'all, from Aspireship. If you don't know, we're going to talk about it today. But if you don't know, I was so surprised as we were talking. You hear all the noise and the loud, about software for software sales roles, and to see that 10 to 20% even higher paid than average sales roles.
Yeah.
And they're hiring ridiculously right now.
Yeah. We are. Yeah. We're gonna dig into some of the parts around that, and so to understand kind of what you're looking at, what you're thinking about, how it might be impacting the way that you are advising people that are looking in for a job in this space, or also are thinking about it yourself. So like I just put welcome in there. Go in the chat, ask questions. We want to have this be a fun conversation. We have some topics to talk about, but I think it always makes it more fun when we're getting some real questions from the group. So we'll look forward to that as well.
Absolutely. So we're gonna get started in 60 seconds, y'all. Christine, I get a lot of people telling me too, it's not just people starting a whole new sales job. It's people that are, I want to start working a little side gig, or, I want to start, I'm getting a lot of that as well. People that are like, I got out of the industry of working altogether, and now I'm just starting to get in because I can work from home now.
Yeah,
and I think that a lot as well too. So, all right. Well, you know what? Let's get this show on the roll. We got Marco's raising his hand already. Well, Marco, we're going to get to you, my friend. I promise you. Put your question in chat if you don't mind, Marco. But we're going to get rolling here, y'all. We got Christine Rogers from Aspireship, and if you don't know Aspireship, I'm not going to do the injustice of telling you about it. I'm going to let Christine tell you about it. But look, software as a service, if y'all don't know, I mean, there's if y'all ain't getting the emails, then I don't know where you're at. But new companies prospecting you and emailing you all the time, because there are so many new different companies out there. And a lot of them are in the software as a service industry. And it's creating a really ridiculous job market, which is exploding everywhere. And it's also providing a change and a shift in traditional sales a lot. And so was really happy to have Christine here to join us and talk about, look, a lot of people are out there moving into this role, in these new roles, but you need to know what's different. You need to know there are certain mistakes you could make moving over into this type of job that could really catch you off guard, right? Having proper expectations, I think, is one of the most foreshadowing of success things that you could really do, right? When you have a mutual equal expectation, when we're both on the same page, that's when you have the best opportunity for success. Oftentimes I hear people go, oh, well, I had no idea what I was getting into. Well, that's no fault but your own. So that's why you're here. So if you've had any questions, let us know. But Christine, tell us what you're seeing out there, and what made you get into this place? Why is it so hot right now? And what mistakes are people making?
Okay, so a couple of things that I think are really important. So welcome. Thanks so much for having me, Chris. This is so much fun. Welcome to everybody joining. I hope that we have a really lively conversation. So that's usually where I have the most fun, is when we're really just chopping it up and having a good time together. Aspireship, really was birthed out of this notion that there are so many people. So the last 10 years, I've been running inside sales organizations at SaaS companies. And there are so many individuals that want to get into selling. And as a hiring leader, very hard for me to understand, gosh, is this person going to be good? Is this going to be a good fit for the team, a good fit for them? Do they understand what they're getting into? So we really started thinking about, what are the things that we need to know? What would we want candidates to know before they came in? And I would be like locked in, like, yes, I want that person. And what we decided was I needed to know about their character, like how they behave, and I need to understand if they can do the job. I actually don't care about their experience. So when it became clear to us that that's really the differentiators, can they learn? Are they resilient? Can they show competency? Can they push through hard to learn something new and deliver? And so we created a course that is a foundational course. So when I say foundational sales, it incorporates both, a consultative selling methodology and also kind of some of those soft skills, and more importantly, like information about what specifically is different about this type of work and this type of job. And so we allow people to come through the course, and if they can complete it and pass it, then we will introduce those individuals to companies that are hiring. So on the other side of that, I am selling to companies saying, hey, sales leader, I will help you find talent that you can't find anywhere else. Maybe they're people that are transitioning in, maybe they're people that are new to work, but you won't be able to find them because they don't look perfect on paper. And so because I have that relationship with sales leaders, we're all dealing with that same trouble, that same problem. And so we can offer something new called These People Are Amazing. And they may not look good on paper because they have different backgrounds, but you know what? They can do the job and they're great. And will you give them a chance? And so that's really kind of how we do our business. It's completely free for candidates to take this course. And I say free because it costs you time. And you have 30 days to complete it. And it's about 20 to 30 hours of work. And we're not going to deviate on that, because sales has a pace and has a deadline. So we're trying to emulate as much as possible what this is going to feel like. So if it's not for you, self-select out. That's cool. This may not be for everyone. But if it is for you, you should feel that and be like, ooh, I'm kind of into this. And that shows us that's a high probability for success, in my opinion.
I love it. And what I took from there, you said something very interesting to me, which seems like just the gist of your business. You said whether they can do the business or not just based on their experience. And you said it's two things, right? Whether they can do the business. And I think before, in the past, or what HR companies or what most companies, what HR departments or most companies, how they judge whether or not you can do the business or not is based on your experience. That's and right. They can only correlate or relate the experience which they're familiar to. They may not correlate the same quality traits it took to learn, or it would take to learn and to adjust and to grow in this industry with the wait staff industry, so to speak, as I know is a very hot button for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that idea that learning, that you look for qualities in person that can learn something, not in qualities in person who has done something.
Sure. And I mean, I will say this, bringing your experience, bringing your life experience and work experience is super important to any role. So we want to definitely make sure that we do that. I think, Chris, when we were looking at this topic, it was like, what are some of the 3 biggest mistakes people are making? And we highlighted a few. So I'll dig into a couple of those if you're okay with that.
Absolutely. Love it.
Okay. So one of the most critical things that I see is that people think that SaaS roles are the same as any other sales role. And also when it's kind of like the opposite of that is true too, when people say like, oh, it's so different. Okay, let me just break it down. There are very unique differences about this type of work, and there are also some similarities. So understanding what that is important. So I would say, number 1, very different is that you need to be able to quickly connect, build rapport on all types of modalities like Zoom or like the phone, and you're not walking in. I've had, people that have done outside sales before. You can connect very easily when you're walking in and talking to someone, right? Very different. You have to be able to do that. You might have to amp up your tonality, your voice modulation. You might have to do some things that feel a little different to you. Know that. That's important to know because that's not for everyone. Okay, so that's, I think, really important. The other thing I think is really critical is this is a team approach. I have not yet seen, and we only work with SaaS companies. So those are the only companies that I work with. We don't work with anything else because we're staying really focused on these are the people that we're teaching to do this work, this type of business. In a good SaaS companies, the most important thing is that we get and keep the right customers. So understanding that business software is we're consistently every month or quarter or year, we're earning that business. So we have to keep that in mind that at some point, we're going to get to the point where we're going to put enough in the top and like, we have to make sure we're keeping those because if we have a leaky bucket, and we're not serving them and the software is not working very well, we can put as much as we want in the top revenue wise and have it fall out. And really that consistent revenue that builds over time, that's the business. So know that if you're in a turn and burn, you don't really care what happens next. Downstream is super important for you to understand in this type of a business. How do we get people started? How do we implement for them? If I'm a really kind of rogue lone wolf salesperson who just doesn't care, but you just want me to close deals and then I don't care what happens to them next, not probably going to be a great fit for this. Because what did I say? Keeping them critical to the business. So I think that makes it a little bit different than some other industries.
I love that too.
Yeah,
because
go ahead.
I love that the team aspect of it because you're supporting the company in the long run, right? Sales sometimes can, as you said, it can be a leaky bucket, right? What have you done for me lately? But when you're looking at software when you're looking at software, like, what have you done for me lately? Well, look at our 5 biggest accounts or look at the accounts that are stable because they're still there. I really love that residual aspect of it, that your value can be appreciated as the company grows, where sometimes clients come and go. And maybe you don't feel as much a part of the company as you would in this role, right? Because you're now working with the people, you're now working with the customer service people. They're a year later, they're talking to you. How did this go? How did this happen? So that we can make sure that we get that renewal even. So you're that team aspect with millennials now. That's got to be huge, right? Because nobody's chasing a dollar anymore. They're chasing to be a part of something special now.
Sure. I mean, I think it's really important for anybody. I mean, a lot of the graduates that we're placing in roles are transitioning from other sales opportunities. And so they're like, what's the difference here? This is one of those differences. So understanding your customer is really critical. I have advised many people that when they come in, take one of your calls and your customers and sit with the people that implement them, understand what's happening downstream so that you are able to serve the next customer, the next prospect better. Because the other part is your compensation might be tied to how long they stay. So that becomes something that you may or may not it may or may not impact you, but you should keep it in mind as well. And we all know, and I've had many hard conversations with people that are very skilled at closing business, but they don't sell quite as authentically as they should. And the customer is misaligned on what's going to happen. And then it's like, oh, sorry, this is just how it is, and those sales reps don't last. They can't. They're unhealthy for the business, because then we're trying to pay commissions on bad money, and the customer's super irritated and is going to be unhappy, and they're not going to stay. So these are really important things to know. Check yourself. Does that resonate with you? Is that something that you like? Is that something that feels good about about how you sell? So I would say those are some of the kind of differences and similarities from other roles. But I think that is one thing that people just hear, oh, tech sales, SaaS sales, that's a hot place to be. Know this. That is important to know.
And I love how you didn't put it in a good or bad place either. No, some people are just good at that way. And go ahead and do that. This might not be the role for you, right? This might not be the place for you.
Yes, I see Clinton's post over here. Would it be beneficial to have two teams, one who lands the account, one who maintains the account, two different skill sets? Absolutely. So you absolutely have a new customer acquisition side. Then you have sometimes what's called account management, and they're to I would call them expand. They are to take an account and expand, sell them more things, make sure they're good. And then customer success generally takes care of implementation and making sure that the customer gets set up right, and they maintain tech support and different things like that. However, it is everybody's job to keep that customer happy. And if you sales, you have a mindset of like, all my job is to bring them in, that's going to be problematic long term. Clinton, the way that you describe that is absolutely what should be happening. However, if as that new customer acquisition person, you're not still thinking about like making sure you're selling the right way and that you're lining up that value prop, and if it's not there, if they're not the right customer for the company, we need to be mindful of that and take approaches. I'm not saying don't sell the deal necessarily, because you'll never hear any VP of sales probably actually, when it gets down to it, say like, we want to look at that. But yeah, there are times when we have to walk away from some business because it's not going to be a good fit. It's going to tax resources, and it's not going to be good.
I had a stat yesterday with Mark Allen Roberts, and he told me that 20% of your of most corporate clients are losses, leaky deals. And when it's not, the expectations aren't set up front, right? And you don't have those, or the opportunities more on the long term with it, and you didn't sell it, you sold it short, it doesn't get renewed. But yeah, no, that's a very, very big aha moment for a lot of people. Thank you, Christine. Like that one.
Great. The next mistake is that people make the decision about where they want to be placed based on their experience or things that they see in market and are kind of shiny. I would call them like the shiny objects, right? So
I've never chased objects before.
Yeah, right. We all have. And sometimes what we see as far as companies that are hiring, it's like, oh my gosh, this is such a sexy brand, all these different things. They've just gotten, 16,000 rounds of funding, and they're very exciting. And I talked to graduates who are like, I'm looking for my next opportunity. I only want these types of things. And it's like, hold on a minute, back it up. How about we talk about what you're looking for, what you want in a company, what you're looking for in leadership? What are the things that are really important to you? And I will tell you that the openness there is better. Be a little open. Maybe an industry doesn't sound super sexy, but what you will learn at that company is valuable. And I have had many conversations with individuals who are saying things like, I only want to go to a company that has this blah, 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 or I only like that or this, or all these different things. And it's like, absolutely. But if you can be a little open and you can articulate like, what's really important to me is that I have a seat at the table. You're not going to have a seat at the table, very likely, if you're one of 150 SDRs. If influence and impact is important, you may need to go to a smaller company where, if you say, hey, I've talked to 3 prospects in the last 2 weeks, and they're asking for this specific type of use case feature thing. Can we talk about that? It seems to be coming up. If you want to have those kind of conversations, you may need to take a different type of role. If you want to go in and be pretty much rinse and repeat, one of a bunch, and one kind of low on the radar, be doing, that's great too. Knowing what works for you and being open is really critical when you're looking, because you might have, like I have partners, I have some that do construction estimation. Okay. I have companies that do fitness and wellness. I have companies that are doing real estate. Many, type of industries. An industry you don't have to have expertise in or even experience in. You really don't. You need to know how to line up a consultative sale. You need to know how to be curious, have questions, answer those questions, be available. You need to be able to do those things. You can learn industry. I believe that. So what you might have incredible opportunity at a company that is just your size that you never would have chosen for yourself. But be open.
Love that. And be open. This is the biggest job rush or switch or whatever they're calling it that's happened in a long time. People are, the unemployment rate's ridiculous. We're just not working. People are switching jobs. Hirings are all crazy right now. And there's one thing I've learned is this: it doesn't matter what you're doing right now. It's more than likely not your last job. So go learn, and wherever you're at, learn. That is that's a lesson for life right there. Whatever situation is in front of you right now is the one that's exactly the one that's supposed to be in front of you to get the lesson you need to get to the next level you want to go to. So yes, love that. Be aware and also ask questions, because don't assume you know. Let's just put it that way. The more information you get, the better perspective you get. Seek to find more information as opposed to being right. So love that one.
Yes. Awesome. Okay. My last one is understand compensation. Going into these companies, very frequently, people do not understand how they're going to make money. And maybe they've made it in other ways. Maybe they're coming. I mean, I just had a gentleman that we just placed recently. He was a barber. Another one was a history professor. We have all different types of individuals that we're placing in amazing opportunities that are coming from places where they may not understand. So I'm going to give you kind of an overview of how you can think about compensation, the questions that you can ask about this that are going to be critical, and so that you have a good understanding going in. So one of the things that I think is very short-sighted is sometimes people get locked in to their base compensation and don't look at the total, what's called OTE, on target earnings. So what it is when you get hired traditionally, best practices is there's a base compensation, and then you're going to make commission on top of that. And I'm going to take this. I have very many people that are transitioning in or doing different types of things where they're like, oh, well, that base comp is not very much. Okay. That's not the total compensation. So you need to understand and think about where do I have to be, as far as from a base compensation, because if you're only making your base, you're not going to be in that job very long, because you're probably going to get fired or quit. You are going to make base plus commission. So what you need to look at is what is my base salary going to be? And you need to ask, how often am I being paid commission? Is it monthly? Is it quarterly? How do we do that here? It's usually going to be monthly or quarterly. Then you need to look at that variable is what we call that. So that's your variable. You want to look at that and say, okay, if I can earn an extra $2,500 a month or an extra $5,000 a month, if I'm hitting 100% to goal, what am I making? That's going to be important to know, because that's the on-target earnings, right? So very typically we'll see like a $50,000 base, and then on-target earnings 90 to 100. Great. Okay, that's actually, now I'm looking at a total opportunity of 100K a year, and that's exciting. That works, right? Not this short-sightedness where it's like, I'm only making 50K. No, the real is if you're making 50K, you're out of here. I promise. You're out of here. Because that's not why anybody is hiring you. We're hiring you to get to goal, right? That's what we're doing. So we need to make sure that you think about those things. And oftentimes I've had people, it's like, oh, well, that I need 5,000 more on the base. It's like, well, this OTE, and people are hitting this OTE. This is way higher than what these other opportunities are at. So I think that's a critical thing too. So you want to ask, How many reps are hitting every month? How many reps are hitting every quarter? You know, is this an actual number that we can get behind? Are people making money like this? Those are good questions to ask. And that I wouldn't ask them at the beginning. I wouldn't ask them at a recruiter stage. If you're working with a company like mine, I will know that already. So I will be able to tell you, and probably wouldn't have taken a client that they did not have at least 85% of their people hitting. So like, I'm going to be more careful about that because I want to make sure people can be successful where we place them. But those are good questions to ask when you get into later stages of a conversation with a company. You would want to ask that to like the hiring manager. They'll know that, not the recruiter. The recruiter actually very probably won't know that. Talent acquisition probably won't know that. So that's my one part about base versus OTE. The other thing I would ask is, what is the variable based on? So especially if you're going into, I mean, actually any part of it. So at an account executive role, you might be saying like, okay, is that based on one-time revenue? Is it based on my annual revenue? What is it based on? So if I bring on a client and they're paying $2,500 a month, where's my, like, what's the nut I'm trying to crack? Bringing on that client and having them stay for X amount of months. When, you know, when those things happen, you want to know what you're going to get paid on. Same thing on like SDR, BDR roles and things like that. You're wanting to know, am I getting paid on a meeting? Am I getting paid on what we would call SQL, sales qualified leads? Like, are we getting paid on an opportunity? Am I getting paid on what's closing? Very different. If I'm scheduling a meeting, am I getting paid on what's down the line closing and the revenue that's coming from mine? Usually in those, there's going to be a split on that. It'll be like, yep, we're going to pay you for meetings booked. And also we're going to pay a little bit on the revenue that's closed, because that revenue could take a little longer once it gets into the AE hands. It might take 30 days, 60 days. We don't know, but we'll give you a little bump when that finally comes in. All of those things are really important to know. Good questions to ask, and also shows that you understand this motion. Like, you're understanding this business. So you're asking the right questions, and these are not annoying questions. These are questions that like hiring managers would understand why you're asking them.
You know, every time I was going to ask a question, I put it on a little mental note, and you answered it every time. It was beautiful. I love that, because like I can see being in an interview, especially, you know, you're going into a sales career for the first time. You're talking about all this technology, all these things that you're not used to. Asking these questions about your income can sometimes feel a little uncomfortable. Am I putting myself out there, asking how many people hit the target, you know? But like, that's a really, really important thing to ask. And then know what does it look like for you to hit that target? How many deals is that? Like, understanding that is really important, not only for your mental subconscious to be able to begin manifesting these beautiful things, but also for your expectations. I mean, I've talked to too many people, Christine, who are like, yeah, man, I brought in these 3 deals and I thought I was going to get a piece in the end. I got nothing. Well, if you thought and you didn't, I mean, that's your fault, because you didn't ask the question. You got to know those things before you start working with somebody and have the expectation of something's going to happen. Because what happens is that's nobody's fault but yours for not having your expectations clear. Maybe the companies as well for not making it clear enough, but more than likely, I mean, you know, like that's on us to ask. And those questions are really, really important. Thank you for that clarity around that too. That question about how many people hit the actual earnings, like that seemed to be a very, you know, interesting one for me, because, you know, I've heard a lot of people go, there's no way somebody hits these quotas. And then I've heard somebody say, oh no, everybody in our whole company hits these quotas. You know, you get all ends of the spectrum. So this is why working with somebody like Aspireship helps. It's almost like somebody scrubbing the companies that you're potentially going to work for in this area, and also giving you that ramp up to understand the ideas, the technology, the language, all those pieces as you move into these new industries. So absolutely. Love it. Absolutely love it. Anybody got any questions for us out there, y'all? I mean, Autumn. Yeah. Share LinkedIn. Love it, Autumn. Love that you're here. Love that everybody's here. Anybody have any other questions for the expert here while we got her here? I just want to make you blush as much as possible. As my only goal on this call. Like, she brought the puffy shoulders for me. I got to make her blush a little bit.
That's so funny. Yeah. And also, you know, connect with me on LinkedIn. If there's questions that you want to ask privately or talk through, I'm happy to help as well. And I know, Chris, you are too. Like, you're a wealth of information.
Always here for y'all. Please reach out. I put Christine's LinkedIn in the chat. Y'all know where to find me on the site, Facebook, social media. I'm always there. But Christine, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to chop up some of this content, put it out to the website. Some little valuable tips and facts that you gave were just really awesome. And there are questions that I had and sometimes didn't know to ask or didn't even think to ask. So appreciate you providing some insight and showing your smile and being here. I know everybody got some value today. So thank you all for being here. Let's all thank Christine. Round of applause. All right. Thank you for being here.
Me so much. It's been fun.
Absolutely. If y'all don't know, Christine's at Thursday night for Thursday night sales. You can find her there. You can find all the information on her LinkedIn. Christine, have an amazing day.
You too, Chris. It's so much fun. I'll come anytime you want me to come.
Y'all heard that. So we're going to make a note of that. I'm going to hold her to that one. Thank y'all. Take care. Christine, thanks so much. Have a great day, everyone.